And we're back. It's
always like
a real giggle every time we do this.
Yeah, it's always like an not awkward start, but
it is funny. It's like, hey, we're actually doing this again. Oh man, all right. Welcome back to another episode and the season finale of On Air with LA Balloons. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Karen.
And can't believe we're here, but we are on episode 12.
Wow! We're finishing up season 1.
We did it. We said we were going to make a podcast / YouTube thing, and we did actually do it, which is kind of wild.
We committed, and we have pushed out 12 videos. I mean, we've gotten YouTube content, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Reels. I think this is as much content as we've done.
Ever.
Yeah.
Thank you to Karen for figuring out how to do that. A lot of that stuff on the back end.
To you for being in a lot of these videos. To Caesar for editing a lot of these things. Yep. Yeah. So it's really a team effort.
It's been a wild ride. But we are here, and this is the episode for sure that we want to make sure to shout out Tuftex, our sponsor, who was there from the start and kind of believed in us getting this project done and it being valuable, both entertaining and educational. Hopefully you found some value from it, and for sticking by us throughout this whole process, and more to come from that.
Woo.
We're going to start off in typical fashion with a trivia question. All right. So, Karen, I know you're a balloon expert now.
Every time you ask me these questions, I'm like, what is he going to ask me?
What takes up more helium? 1 3-foot balloon, fully inflated, or 30 11-inch balloons?
What takes up more helium?
Yeah. And the bonus question would be, how much helium do either of those take?
If I'm not mistaken, I think a 11-inch balloon, am I confusing it? I think it takes up 0.5 cubic feet of helium, and then a 30-foot takes up, is it 3 feet of cubic helium?
Of cubic helium.
3 cubic feet of helium? I could be way off, but if I want, you know what? I think I'm confusing it with a 34-inch foil letter.
Okay.
And then you said 36-inch?
A 36-inch latex balloon.
I might be confusing it, but I feel like we just had this conversation recently, but.
We've had helium conversations regularly.
Yeah.
People like to call in and ask, how much helium do I need to fill up the bajillion balloons?
We get that question a lot. I want to say, and how many latex balloons did you say? 30? 30. I feel like in people's mind, like you would be like, I guess you could go either way. Because I'm like, well, it's 30 balloons. I mean, it's going to take up more. Or it's 1 big balloon. It could take up more. I feel like this is a trick question. And they both take the same amount of helium.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You are correct!
Oh, wow.
That's why you just guess and take a stab at it, because that is 100% correct.
Oh my gosh.
So the bonus question is, how much helium does it actually take to inflate a fully helium-filled latex balloon, 36-inch or 3-foot?
I think I'm confusing it with the 34-inch mylar letter, but I don't know, actually.
It's about 15 cubic feet, so 5 times your 3 feet.
Okay.
So, and you were right, it was 0.5 cubic feet for every 11-inch balloon.
Okay.
Times 30 is 15. Nice. So that's a lot of helium, by the way. So if you have a 55 cubic foot tank, that means you can do like 3.5, like 32, 45. Oh yeah, 3.5 balloons. But that is a lot of helium. Now you don't always have to do that. There's things out there like the 60-40 helium adapter.
Oh yeah.
Or you can just mix helium and air. But for sure, that's 2 properly inflated 36-inch balloons. You got it.
Wow.
That's
All
exciting.
right. I wonder who else got it right.
I want to know who else got it right too. Yeah.
That's a good question.
And at this point now, this is where we kind of take a look back at some of our favorite moments and a little recap of our journey from episode 1, season 1, all the way to this point, episode 12, season 1.
Let's take a look.
Roll the clip.
Welcome to On Air with LA Balloons.
We are your host.
I'm Karen.
And I am Andrew. Why we're doing this podcast, we're going to give you an introduction about ourselves.
Really quickly before I answer his question, all of this is we're going to try to be as raw as possible. Also, fun fact, I worked at a coffee shop for like 3-4 years and I don't actually like coffee. So there's that.
A little bit about me. I like to skateboard, longboard, mostly snowboard. I do all the art stuff, painting, drawing, sculpture, photography.
He's really good at it, by the way, drawing, everything. If you've seen what he does, even with just balloons, really good at it. So we are open Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. PST. Just Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Hello, we are back for
episode 2.
Woo, episode 2, how exciting. We try to teach Andrew a little bit of Spanish every so often. My sister Diana actually has taught him.
Every so often.
Yes, we'll try to show him a few things. Do you want to share what you've learned so far?
If you have any suggestions on phrases you want me to learn, I will give them a shot. My favorite phrase in Spanish is me debes un gato. If you know what that means, translate it in the comments. Have you ever thought about starting your own business?
Haha. I have. Maybe you guys can inspire me to actually get started. If you guys want to share your stories with us, please send them to us. We'll put the link in our bio so that you guys can submit your ideas, your tips, your stories, and anything that you guys want us to talk about.
Share your story because that might resonate with somebody.
Yeah.
How many colors does Tuftex offer in their catalog right now?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Tuftex, we are color. That's their motto. How many colors do they have in their catalog? In their catalog.
The number that comes to mind is 72.
73 colors.
No way.
73. I confirmed with Allison. I also
gosh.
triple counted 73 confirmed by Allison this morning. Thank you to Tuftex Balloons for sponsoring On Air with LA Balloons. Welcome to another edition of On Air with LA Balloons. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Karen. Join us on our adventure here at Float 2024.
Woohoo!
Yay!
We are here with Allison from Tuftex.
Hello.
So what are you looking forward to the most at this year's?
The most is just seeing everybody like you guys. It's all friends and fun. Everything's fun, everything's in the moment.
And what is next for Tuftex?
In April, we will be in Vegas, baby. We are so excited. Grateful for LA Balloons to be sponsoring our florals for our wedding. This is actually the most excited I've been about an event.
Obviously, you guys can't miss it. It's going to the chapel with Tuftex. Is that right?
Going to the chapel with
And
Tuftex.
it's sold out right now?
It's sold out. You know what my only question is? I feel like someone else should be asking the questions because your throat is not feeling well.
You know what? This is going to be my only time. If it wasn't for you, I would be having Karen do it. So Karen will do
I'm
all the
special.
other interviews.
Karen, you have to talk the rest of the time.
Allison from Tuftex, tune into the podcast. Check out the rest of the adventure. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Do you know how to cook?
I know how to cook. Between the age of 23 and 26, I had the Food Network on all the competition shows. So I learned all of these cooking techniques. You scroll back on my Facebook long enough, I used to post all my food pics because I like to plate food. I used to make desserts. I used to make food. I don't actually cook that way on a regular basis.
Is that where you learned to do your turkey? From watching? If you guys didn't know, Andrew every year on Thanksgiving cooks a turkey. It's for him and his wife, Liz, and he goes on his stories and posts a whole video of everything, right from start to finish.
How to
with
make
his
the turkey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he claims it's a really good turkey. Nobody here has been able to try that turkey, so we'll circle back in November this year to see if that turkey is good. baby of the party.
Hi, baby of the party.
So shout out to baby of the party. I actually reached out to a few of the people that had tagged her on the post. So I wanted to go ahead and read some of the things that they said about her because I thought it was really sweet. That was baby of the party. Congrats for all of your success and all the people that are admiring you and all your hard work.
We will throw up some pictures of your Instagram.
Yeah.
And make sure to give her a follow.
Can you share with anybody that's listening your McDonald's order?
So I really don't do this nearly as much anymore. I was trying to gain weight or bulk up or whatever. I would get 5 double cheeseburgers, plain with shredded lettuce. I would eat all of them with barbecue sauce. I would do 1 double quarter pounder with cheese,
Okay.
plain cheese and shredded lettuce only. I would also eat that with barbecue sauce. I would do a large fry, 4-piece chicken nugget, 3 cookies, and a large sweet tea. And that was my daily order.
Daily?
I would go there
Oh, wow.
for a long time. I would
Okay.
eat there almost every day. And like they really knew my order there.
You'd pull up and be like, hey, it's Andrew.
Yeah, no, shred lettuce guy. Like,
The first shout out goes to A Pop of Happiness. I was looking through her profile and I found a few pictures that I thought were interesting that I really liked. One of them is she made the Hungry Caterpillar
cute.
from, the Hungry Caterpillar. Have you read that book before?
I mean, I'm sure I was like, I don't know how old I would have been. 6, 8.
Maybe little. I mean, I remember it from when I was a child. Shout out to you, Lauren, from A Pop of Happiness. Again, we'll go ahead and tag her on the screen and we'll tag her everywhere else.
And today we've got a special guest with us, Stephen Mayhew.
Hello, everybody.
What is it that, made you come into the balloon industry?
Interesting question. So my first job was I was a children's entertainer, and I would dress up as Spider-Man, Batman, or Santa
Gosh,
Claus.
I can completely see you as Spider-Man.
And that was the best one. That was the best one. Like a 5'6" kid with a really high voice trying to pull off Batman or Santa Claus wasn't that appealing. However, all the kids enjoyed it. There were 3 things I would do. I would do balloon twisting, I would do a little magic show, and then I would do face painting. But I really, for whatever reason, enjoyed doing the balloon animals.
You were in a Barney suit?
I was in a Barney suit.
Do you know who Barney is, Karen?
No.
Oh my gosh!
Wait, no. Like, I know who Barney is, but I thought you meant like who was in the suit.
Oh,
no, I don't know.
I was like, I can't believe you don't know.
Well, in Phoenix, Arizona, it was, if you were having a party back in the 90s, guess what? It was probably me.
And then being here in LA, you did actually do some acting though, right?
I did do acting, yes.
You in some movies or anything like that?
I was in Old School and
Old
things
School.
like that. Remember that?
Yes.
It's an old movie, Old School. Like anytime they ever show the pledges, I'm there. When Will Ferrell is burned after jumping through the ring and he's in the locker room, I'm in that shot. I'm in the shot when he does the
We're
ribbons.
gonna find all of these
I have
shots and go pop, 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 pop.
There he is. I was much younger. I was like 17, 18 at the time.
Karen just came back from an event.
I was at Going to the Chapel with Top Techs in Vegas. Hi everyone, today we are here with Nancy. Nancy, what is the name of your balloon business?
My name is Nancy and I am from SYS Balloon Design.
Thank you guys so much for doing this
No,
for us. We
thank
really
you.
appreciate it and it's been so nice getting to know you. And thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
We're here with Odessa.
I am Ardessa Caron. It's OC Events. I am located in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I have myself, my husband, and 2 employees. So there's 4 of us, and I'm currently looking for a 5th employee.
Thank you again so
No,
much.
thank you for
Everything
coming
turned
and
out
having
so
me.
good.
Thank you again to Tough Techs for sponsoring not only this show, but the whole season and supporting us throughout this whole journey again.
Yes. See you guys on the finale. Woo!
Bye.
Bye. All right.
And we're back.
We're back. For those of you that do not watch the video of what we're doing,
So if you're watching this or listening
if you're
to it
listening to us,
on iTunes or Spotify without the video,
yes, our recap was a recap of all the episodes from season 1, episode 1, up until season 1, episode 11 technically. And do you have any moments that you want to share from the recap?
oh man, I don't know if specifically from the recap.
We talked about, we started off with Love is Blind, and we were like really invested in that. We've talked about Love is Blind. We've talked about Grey's Anatomy. We've talked about teaching you some Spanish. We've talked about cooking, food.
I think, you know what's funny is like in doing the podcast, I had to come up with like, let's say, trivia questions and questions for Karen to think, right? I think those have been my favorite parts. You know, it's a quick process. It's just kind of like Googling this or that, like, you know, really questions to make you think.
Yeah.
But I know I'm asking you the questions and sometimes you ask me the question back. But it also just makes me think when I look it up and things made me think. But it was also interesting watching you actually sit there and process the question and then coming up with the answer, and then I think even asking yourself more questions after that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever left here really being like, oh, that was it. Like, that was the question, I answered it, and that was it. Like, it really, I'm a person that likes to go deep into conversations sometimes. And so when you would ask me those questions, it was very like, I would take it home with me and be like, like, it just starts to kind of like...
It gets you thinking.
Yeah, basically. So those were very good questions all the time.
But I thought that was fun. I think it was a fun process to find the questions because they're quality questions. You know, a lot of times, I think in day to day, you're asking ourselves and asking other people's simple questions, which is great.
Yeah.
But taking a moment to think about, you know, something deeper as to like, what is your why? So like, if you have a business, you know, what is your motivation? What is your why?
Yeah.
And I think in previous jobs and careers, we'd have meetings all the time, and it was like, what was your why? What was your reason for pushing to the next goal, sticking around, doing what you do? And a lot of times it was not the money or the job itself. It was actually almost always the people that you were going through that journey with.
Yeah.
But, you know, as balloon decorators or entrepreneurs, like, I'm sure, and we've spoken to many, but it's your family, it's the passion for the balloons, it's the reward that you get after completing an event, it's fulfilling the creative purpose that you have and the talent and sharing it with the world. You know, so many things, but like, kind of taking a step back and reflecting on that, you know, questions like that, I think are important for, I don't know, getting you moving, getting you thinking in a positive way. And
yeah, I think a lot of the times we get stuck on, obviously there's a lot of us that want to accomplish big things. And sometimes in the process, we have to just remind ourselves the reason why we're doing these things. Although sometimes, I mean, everybody goes through their moments of like, this may be hard or it's not working out the way I want it to. I think reminding yourself of why you started, why you're doing it, or who you're doing it for, other than, you know, maybe yourself, like your kids or your family, whatever. I think it's important to remind yourself of that. And I had another thought and I completely lost it. So,
well, it's funny because even, excuse me, in this instance, like we started the podcast and thinking back to why we started it, we're an online wholesale distributor. You know, so a lot of the relationships that we build with our customers aren't physical interactions. They're over the phone, through email, through message, or through the website. Or if you happen to catch us at one of these conventions, that's awesome too.
Yeah.
We do love to see it, and it happens a handful of times a year, but it was so that we could try to get to know our customers and our clients better and build a relationship, and for them to get to know us. And I think even now, some of the phone calls that we get for people who have been watching the podcast and listening to it, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
If you can keep sharing this, that would be amazing. But I think we accomplished that.
Yeah. I think for us, it's never been about I don't know. I feel like a lot of people nowadays do social media or try to be more active to become influencers or to become famous or whatever it is. And for us, it's not really ever been to be like, we're better or we're like anything like that. It's just to show you guys our just genuine selves. And
We're real people too.
Yeah.
We've got jobs.
We were
in the balloon industry, of course, and for LA Balloons, which has been great.
You and I were just talking about this before we started recording, and how in the recap, I was telling Andrew, we're always so smiley, and like, it's funny to see that we're just always laughing, but that's genuinely like how we are. We're just like, it's not like we turn off the cameras and we're like, oh yeah, like, great, yeah. No, like we're always very smiley. We're always just like laughing. And even if I think maybe I don't want to say rough days, but you're always so positive. And so for me to just be like, it's a Monday, you know, I think we all have those days. Even then, like, we can still all be around each other and laugh about it and crack a joke about it. And so for us, it really has been to just show you as the listener to get a better understanding of what it is that we do, what it is that the balloon industry is, and the people who you purchase your balloons from, and really to just kind of have and build those relationships with you, because we actually enjoy it. Like, that's one of the things that we genuinely enjoy, and it's having interactions with you. And I remember the first time that someone called and was like, are you Karen? And I was like, yes. And like that conversation can go either way. It can just be like, it can be good, it could be bad. You know, like, are you about to complain? Or are you about to tell me something good? And so it was like, oh my gosh, are you Karen from the podcast? And I was like, yes, I am. And it was like, I had a conversation with her, and I don't remember her name, but I hung up and I go and I told Andrew, I was like, Andrew, somebody just said that they listened to the podcast and blah, blah, blah. And it really does mean a lot to us that like you listen to it, you watch it, whether you're doing it, you're listening as you're prepping for the weekend, you're on your way to work, whatever it is.
Sending invoices.
Yeah, it means a lot to us. I've had this last episode, I think, the one where we were in, where I was in Vegas, Karla from Karlas Krafty Kourture had called me, and she was like, oh my gosh, that was so sweet. I wasn't expecting that. And she had told Marcy from Marcy's Mess. And so seeing that all of you are connecting with each other, and it makes you also happy to know that we mentioned you guys and to just keep building those relationships. That's generally probably has been my favorite part about this whole thing. And just, yeah, I went on a rant. I don't remember.
No. I mean, that's important. But like, really, that was the original reason why. Mm-hmm. Like, building the podcast was, how can we have so many great clients all over the US, and then how can we bring them together, and how can we build a stronger relationship with you? And, you know, this is a prime example. Like, you know, thankfully, like, someone's actually able to see you on the podcast, you actually meet people in person, and you brought them up. And again, we have a little piece of paper sometimes, but it's a bunch of scribble. You know, literally sometimes it's like the day before or like 20 minutes before we start recording. Yeah. And I'll jot some notes down. It's like, hey, we should bring this up, or I want to ask you this or that. Yeah. But, you know, if we mention somebody because we admire their work or they helped us out or we just met them. Yeah. It truly is just that. You know, if I walk out and curbside and hand somebody an order and I have a conversation, that's great. Yeah. You know, I pick up the phone and I talked to someone named Junior yesterday who was listening to the podcast, gave so many great ideas on things that they wanted to hear about the podcast. I was like, oh, like, hey, if you can, let me jot some of these things down, but if you can write in, let us know. Like, I had no idea that they were interested in learning more about some of the other manufacturers. So they mentioned Silver Rainbow. They mentioned asking about, hey, can you talk about some more of the machines and like what they can do? Yeah. And are you going to carry this line or that line? So, hey, if you guys have questions, please write in, comment, share, like, let us know, even if you call in or you email us on topics that you want us to discuss.
Yeah, it's not just about, and it doesn't also have, I mean, it can be like questions like, how much helium does this type of balloon take? It can also be just machines. It can be brands. It can really just be about anything. Maybe you need some inspiration. So you need to hear someone's story about how they started or how they, went from this to that.
Hiring people, scaling your business.
Yeah, like any of those things. And, now that you brought up you saying that you had a conversation with somebody, I was out at Curbside the other day and I had actually met Alexis's from Fanfare, her business partner. Do you remember her name? I saw it and
Natalie.
No, not Natalie. No, Natalie works with her, I guess, doing the Fanfare stuff. Yeah. But this is her business partner for her balloon business. Yeah, I know. And I if I see her name, I know she is. But I went out and I saw, I gave her her curbside order. And she was like, she made a comment about, she's like, wow, it's really impressive how many balloons you guys can fit into this bag. And I was like, yeah, you should see how we package our orders.
If it fits, it ships.
Yeah.
That's the motto.
And so I was like, wait, are you so-and-so? You work with Alexis? She was like, yeah. She's like, and we had this whole conversation. And so although there's so many of you and we don't know every single one of you, we know that you exist. Whether you have 100,000 followers or 100 followers, we want to make those interactions with you because there's so many of you and only 2 of us, But it was nice to have that conversation with her because if I wouldn't have met Alexis at Float and Natalie, then I would have known who she was, And I'm so sorry that I do not remember your name. And I just realized...
You're getting too famous, Karen.
No. No. And I want to say again, I literally just... I don't remember her name. And I butchered so many of your guys' names on here. And I'm so sorry again. But having that connection, with her and having that conversation and just you again, having that conversation with Junior, it's nice to be able to interact with everybody and just have those conversations, whether they know us or not from the podcast, just from seeing us here at Curbside or whatever it is.
It's just opening up another line of communication.
Yeah.
If we can't have that physical interaction, can we do it, through the online world somehow? And, this was just one way we thought might work. And I think, again, in looking back at having gone through this, it's been a wild ride. I don't know. It really is. Because figuring out all the different parts, the lighting, where we're going to shoot, what the background's going to be.
Yeah.
How, we're using 2 phones, the little mic thing.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to do any of it.
Yeah.
Really.
And it really is. This is just also one example of a lot of people always wait for that perfect moment to start something. And we are an example of, if you see our setup, it looks...
We're in the corner right now. We're in the corner of Karen's office.
Yeah, we're in the corner of my office and we have 4 lights. Some of these lights are, I think majority of them are Andrew's. And he's been kind enough to bring them into work and to just use them. And, the phones are just 2 phones that are, just normal phones, Yeah. And that's it. We're just sitting here, we're talking and we're posting, so you don't really have to wait for it to be perfect. You just have to post it. So if this is your sign to just start.
Yep.
So
whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And
a podcast, a YouTube, social media, your business.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're listening to this, you're not even into balloon business yet and you want to start your balloon business, get it going.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything balloon related, which is part of the reason why our podcast, I think, we also like to share our personal perspectives on things and our experiences because we want it to be as relevant as we can to not just the balloon industry, but just anybody who's listening. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
cute.
I think I'm
so having been through this journey now, taking a look back at some of our favorite moments and the good things, obviously, is there anything in particular you would have done different and you would like to do for season 2?
Surprise, there's going to be a season 2.
One way or another, there's going to be a season 2.
Yeah.
We are going to take a break for a few weeks, though. We are in the busy time, and it's been hard finding time to even record. It's only about an hour or so, but
It takes time, and we're busy. Again, we don't just sit here and record. We have other things to do. But I think for season 2, we had mentioned this throughout season 1, but I think it is, at least for me, like I would like to have those conversations with other people. So I'd like to bring people on to season 2. Shout out to Steven for being our
First
guest
guest
on season 1. But yeah, I think that's one thing that I would like. I would like to have more people involved. We've had a few people reach out, whether it's been like an in-person interaction or through the Google forms that we have, or email. They want to be on the podcast, which I don't know. I just think is like, you want to be on the podcast? Like, I don't know. It's cute.
We will be happy to have you.
Yeah. So there's a few that I can think of that want to be on there. And I think it's important for everybody to share their stories. And funny enough, everybody is, at least from like what I've seen, they're involved in the balloon industry, but they all have like different things that
different niches
Yes.
in the industry.
Yeah. And so I think that's really cool. But I think I would like to have more people involved, whether that's them coming here, us going to them. And yeah, I think that's something that will.
So funny enough, we're definitely going to be sending out an email, but if you feel so inclined, I am asking our audience if you can write in and just tell us some of the things, a suggestion box of things that you'd want us to talk about for the next season, things that you like about this season, if you listen to the whole thing, or even just a few of the episodes, and any kind of constructive criticism. We're definitely open to it, and we want to make it better. But now we're also at the point where we're going to do some like back end and actually look at some of the analytics and see what worked and what didn't work. But I agree, doing more interviews and having more guests, sharing more stories from our audience and people that we work for in the industry, I think that would be great. And in the conversation I had with Junior yesterday, some of like, I think we were trying specifically to be, to share ourselves a lot in this first season, get to know LA Balloons. I think that was really kind of the theme. But having a segment specifically for like news and industry events. So what is going on with some of the big brands and the big names in the balloon industry? Any announcements? I know we had a few there, but maybe have a segment specifically tailored to more of like the news. And it can just be a little blurb, but I think that was a really good idea.
I think everybody's, like Andrew said, like if you have any constructive criticism, then I mean, we're more than open to it because we want to know what it is that you want to see, what you want to hear. We're just kind of going off of what we think it is that we want to share and what you want to listen to. But overall, it could, and it doesn't have to be just like, we're not going to sit here and be like, this is what all the blue shades of every line is, you know, like we can make separate videos of that if that's something that you want. But just really anything that people want to listen to and want us to talk about, or anybody specifically that you want us to bring on, anything. Like we're open to just about anything. So
please watch your inbox on your DMs. We may be reaching out to you to see if you'd be a guest on our show for the next time. But I think now that we've got a basis for how long it takes to do things, kind of carving out a specific day and time. For season 2, behind the scenes, I think now that we have a better idea of like the whole process and the workflow is making that a little bit more concrete. We're very fluid here. You know, if you notice, if you send us an email, we'll respond same day, like, or within a few minutes, unless you do it overnight, but first thing in the morning. But we really do our best. Like after 1 o'clock, we've got that cutoff time to, you know, same day shipping. We really do, the whole team tries to get every order all the way up until USPS and UPS come pick up for the day. And then even then, we still make extra trips to go to UPS or drop off at USPS, you know, on our way out of the warehouse. But that's always going to be our main priority, is to get you your product as fast as we can. From there, the carriers hopefully will do their job and get it to your door. But if we can give it to them and get as much time with them, hopefully you get it the next day or 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
But having that workflow for the podcast, having the spot. I know Karen keeps wanting to redecorate her office to make it more
Season
vibey.
2. Okay, I will have this place redone.
But, I think it's a nice little corner, but again, we can decorate a little bit more.
It definitely works, but
We've got this little plant here, but you never see it.
it's a faux plant. If you know, like the vibes have to be here, and the vibes are not here right now. Other
The
than
white
this
wall
corner,
needs to be tan,
yeah,
and we'll have a little bit more
we'll have
something back
more
here.
stuff going on here. But I was gonna make a point of what you were saying. I don't think you just bringing up the fact that we do ship out every order before 1 o'clock, and I think people think that we're bigger than we actually are, and
We're still a small team, and
we're
right now,
small. Like, you may not consider us a small business, but we are. Like, if I were to, like, I'll tell you right now, there's like,
less than 10 people working inside the whole warehouse.
yeah. And that's with so many orders that have to be shipped, that have to be for curbside pickup, and just different things going on, emails, phone calls, and just everything. And so
When one email comes in, when one email goes out, 3 come in.
yeah, and I don't know, I just wanted to point that out, that we're not this huge company, and we do play a lot of roles here. And I think it's important to, if you're one of those people that if it's just you, and it's hard, you have to do social media, you have to do emails, invoices, calls, events, setups.
We've got the same kind of thing,
Yeah.
just different.
Yeah. And so it's hard. So if you're doing it, props to you, because we're less than 10 people here. And sometimes for us, it can be like, whoa, like at the end of the day, probably like at the end of a week on a Friday, we're like, cool, like we killed
made
it.
it.
Another week. Yeah.
So who's coming in on Sunday?
To catch up. But yeah, it's
been a wild ride. It really has.
yeah.
But everyone does work really, really hard, and we appreciate your support, whether it's through this podcast, liking or sharing any of the content we have on the social media,
Yeah.
using us as your supplier, whether you're primary or a secondary supplier, whatever the case might be,
Yeah.
or if you've ever told anybody about LA Balloons and any positive interactions that you've had with us.
Yeah, so thank you guys for engaging in any way, whether that was on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube,
On Spotify.
on Apple Podcasts.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. But don't be afraid to engage with us in any way on any channel. We try to keep up with pretty much everything, every single channel. And the other thing I wanted to mention is don't be afraid to really ask any questions, whether you think it's like a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, and you might think that the question that you have or the comment that you have is the same thing that someone else might say, but you could actually be the only one mentioning that. So don't feel like,
There's probably 10 other people with the same question.
yeah, like if you have a question, it doesn't matter if you are one of 20 people that ask the same question, you could be the only one that asked that question. So feel free to, again, engage in any way, because we want to make those interactions with all of you and just listen to everybody. So, yeah.
We're around. Do you have anything? That's everything I've got on my little piece of paper.
I don't think so. I think at some point in season 1, I'm like struggling not to cough right now, but
You've got the same thing that had
the
a
same
few
thing that
episodes
Andrew
ago.
had. Yeah.
Probably. But it's been a long time, so you definitely didn't get it from me.
Nope, I did not. I don't know. I think that's it. I think just...
You know what was also fun, though? I think the different types of episodes with the events. So, like, Float doing all those mini interviews, and then even the 2 that you did from Take Me to the Chapel.
Yeah.
I think it was fun having, like, kind of that breakup of, like, different things where we could take the podcast outside of our studio.
Corner.
like talk to multiple people at the same time as opposed to, sitting down. But I do think that season 2, we will have a larger focus on like one-on-one, deeper conversations with guests. And I guess depending on how many industry events and conventions there will be for us to attend, doing more of that stuff. But thinking back on it, I was like, like walking around and, going up to Mega Shine and going up to Silver Rainbow and going up to some of the different other businesses, Balloon Glow. It was fun. Like,
I think it's fun to have those interactions with just everybody. And although I'm, again, a little more on the shy side, and this is why I need Andrew.
You did most of those interviews, though. I was just holding the camera.
But it's because you went and like you were like, hey, can we ask you a few questions? And I was like, okay. But again, also like feel free to come up to us because we want to have anybody on the podcast and just talk to you and get to know you a little bit more. So I do think that having those interactions with just everybody and being able to not just do it from this corner, but from, Float all the way in Chicago, Florida Expo in Florida. I'm going to the chapel in Vegas. And it's been nice to really get to know a lot of people, to meet a lot of people and have those interactions in not just here in Glendale, but in a few other states. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Tough Tech's experience. That was cool.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
who knows what season 2 brings?
I know.
But we will definitely be back.
Yes.
And hopefully we will grow.
Let us know if you're excited. Also, thank you if you became one of our followers on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram, really anywhere, because I've been excited, even if it's like one follower here and there. Like, it's exciting. And
actually, that was funny because like even on YouTube, like we weren't really posting anything on YouTube before. So now that we have a whole playlist and a podcast, and if you subscribed, thank you. Mm-hmm. Like we were literally counting every time we got one new subscriber. But back to the drawing board. Now we've got some, a basis to go off of, and now we kind of know how to do this, but we're definitely going to make it better. We're going to bring some more content. We're going to add some more value, and we're going to bring some more people and people that you want to see, and hopefully share more information with you and get to know you a little bit better, no matter who you are or where you are. Maybe even some digital interviews. That might be fun.
That'd be cool. Really anything. I mean, no matter the location, we'll hopefully have you on the podcast.
Cool.
If you're in Hawaii, I'll go just for the podcast.
Business trip.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're in Hawaii and you want us to come out and interview you for the podcast and get to know your business, please message us right away so we can try to make this happen.
For the podcast. It's for podcast
Likely it's going to take a week or so for us to do the whole episode, but...
Week and a half.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I think that's it. I think, again, this has been a really fun process. Behind the scenes, during it, post-production. Yeah. Actually watching that highlight reel and just kind of seeing how far it came from and how many different hairstyles I've had. I don't know if you guys have
think you can see my
hair growth every week.
Yeah. In the last 3 months, you can see Andrew's hair growth. So
there you go. So follow the podcast for the hair growth
update. He might be blonde in season 2. You never know.
Oh man, back to blonde.
You never know.
Let's see what happens.
But all right. Well, I think
we'll see you next season. Thanks again to Tough Techs for being the sponsor, supporting us through this journey. They have been so great. And we're excited to continue working with them in any form, any manner, whether it's through the podcast or other avenues. But they've always been, a very supportive business and great to work with. And I'm sure a lot of decorators also know that too, working with their product.
Shout out Tough Techs, Allison, Meg,
Doc,
Will. I also want to say Will, but
That's their last name.
Yeah. I don't know why. But shout out to everybody at Tough Tags.
And to Georgia, Romy, and Willow, the new addition to the family. I still love the fact that that's how they came up with those names.
What should not even be the names, and I completely heard something wrong.
I'm hoping by now they would have told you. We'll see you guys next time.
See you in season 2. Bye.
Bye. My name is Andrew, and thank you to Tough Tags. I messed it up. Take 2. We're gonna do this again. 1, 2, 3.
Go figure it out. So that helps me when I'm having an issue or a problem.
We do not have enough storage to free up storage by deleting.
Live. Ready. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Karen. I paused. Hold on.
We do things, more in order to kind of move into the next step and the next level or whatever the case may be.
Stop recording too.
No, did it really?
Yeah. What is your name? Gabe.
It's not me, it's her.
His name is Gabe.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, no. No, you guys, I really appreciate that. And the sentiment absolutely goes back to you guys as well.
I think stopped recording.
No!
Maximum time.